Welcome to the YPN Hot Seat. My name is Corey Whedon, mortgage lender with First Premier Bank, member of the YPN Steering Committee, and co-chair of the YPN Membership Committee. Each week, we bring you one of your fellow YPN members so that you can learn more about other members in the YPN and tips or tricks to their success in business and in life. Thank you for spending time with us. Lucinda, we do have Lucinda here with us today. I'm very, very excited for this interview. Me and Lucinda have had a chance to meet at a few YPN events. If you guys go to YPN events, Lucinda is there. You will have a chance to talk with her. You will have a chance to meet her. So if anything that we talk about here in the next 30 minutes really entices those conversations, come to a YPN event, and I guarantee you'll get to meet with Lucinda. But I am personally excited to get to host this interview with you today. I know I already mentioned that, but why don't you start by telling each of us who you are, where you work, and what you do for a living?
Absolutely. So my name is Lucinda Noronha. I am Chief People Officer here at Landscape Garden Centers. I'm super excited to be part of this today. Thank you so much, Corey, for hosting me. This is great. I can't wait to see what we get to talk about.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So you mentioned you are in human resources, right?
Correct, yes.
So with human resources, what is your exact title there? Are you Chief HR? Do you have HR people under you? I know that there's a little conglomerate in businesses that kind of gets mixed in.
Right. So it's a unique position here because I am the first person in the 40 plus years of this company in the area to have this title, to be in human resources here. So yes, I'm chief of it because I'm the only one. So chief of a department of one.
And how many people do you have employed there that are kind of looking up to you to take care of all that responsibility?
Well, so we fluctuate, right? So we are a seasonal business. As you know, Landscape Garden Centers, we open up in the spring. So we just started here in April and we go all the way through Christmas. But it fluctuates between 45 to about 100, depending on the time of year and what we're doing. So yeah, it keeps me busy.
Is that for people out there that don't really know how HR is set up, or businesses, large businesses like that are set up, how many people are normally under an HR person before it becomes too big?
So the ratio you will hear around there is about one HR professional per 100 employees. So I'm right at that cusp, right? If I had 20 to 30 more people, it might be too much. Yep. But because right now I do everything from sourcing candidates to talent acquisition, to developing talent, to any sort of development plan, to career coaching, to assisting the owner with business strategies. So a little bit of everything. It's a lot of fun, actually. I love what I do.
There's so much responsibility that goes into it too.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually graduated with my human resources certification because somebody said, for 8 more credits, you can get certified in this. And
yes.
I took some of the classes and I loved it. Some of the stuff is so interesting on what you can't do, the laws behind it, things you would never, ever even think about. What is probably one of those hardest things that you found being in HR? And I'll share with you what one of my experiences was when I tried HR before I, decided this isn't really for me. So you share first. What is the hardest piece of being in HR?
I don't think it's hard, but it's certainly kind of walking a fine line here of being, and for the therapists out there, I apologize, but being that like therapist / mom / professional, right? So you listen, you take all that information in, and sometimes my heart goes out to individuals, but I have to keep the business side of it, the professional side of it in mind. And the compassionate person in me is just sometimes just bursting at the seams because, oh my gosh, as a friend, as a human being, this is the thing. But for the better of the business, this is not how we're going to roll. So that is the hardest part for me a lot of times.
Yeah. And, going back to my own experience with a past job, I had an amazing, amazing HR mentor where he came down. He's like, we have no need for another HR person here, but I'm going to bring you up and teach you everything HR so that you can leave and go wherever you want to go doing HR. And one of the first things that he taught me was, when you're in HR, one of the hardest things is to have friends. You're around these people all day, every day. You're seeing all these faces that are very familiar with you, but you still have that position to where you can't be friends with them because if something happens, how do you have that conversation? How do you do this? And of course, you're going to be friends with them, but you still have to have that
The
business
professional
mindset.
relationship.
Yes, and that's so hard to. How do you not cross that line when it's just bursting at the edge of crossing that line? Because you want to have that nurturing nature. You want to build those relationships, but then again, it's like, well, if I ever have to fire you, or if I ever have to have that hard conversation with you, do you take me serious? Do you have the best thing for the business in mind? And so I think we're kind of the same on that. You know, personally, that's where it was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I'm glad that you said that too. And we're kind of both right there.
It is difficult. It's such a fine line to walk, right? Especially, you know, when you're an outgoing person or you love building those relationships. It makes it a little difficult. You get used to it, but it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. So we're going to staying talking a little bit more about business, and then we'll get into the personal stuff, because you have such an awesome personal backstory, all that stuff. I'm super go there and let people see that side of you. But I guess with HR specifically, I guess if you could give one piece of advice for a job interview, what would you give to anybody going into any job? So very generic, but what would be that one piece of advice? Can't give 3, can't give 2, one piece of advice.
Check yourself in the mirror before going in.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
I feel like there's a story there.
Oh, there's a ton. So I've been doing HR for a while. A lot of my time spent in talent acquisition, specifically recruiting for both entry level and higher upper level management. And I've had more than one candidate come in with either something on their teeth or the wind blew them, and they just do not look put together, which should not necessarily take into account, we shouldn't take that into account when we're doing the interview, but that first impression is what sticks a lot of the time. And so just check yourself in the mirror, do a quick selfie look in your phone if there's not a mirror around. Just make sure everything looks right and you don't have a piece of lettuce on your teeth. It has happened more often than not, and try to casually bring it up, and it just got to a point where I ignore it if it's there and just pretend I didn't see it, but the person leaves, and I've had more than one person turn around, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I had this in my face, and no, not a problem at all. You handled yourself like a champ, and but do that quick check. That's the one that goes for everybody.
Yeah, and it is so important. I know there's a statistic out there where within, I don't know the exact number, but it's either 3, 5, or 7 seconds, you already have a decision made in your mind just by, and we should not take appearances at, any level of taking, and I know you're saying that that's not anything that plays a role. Do you get the job? Do you not get the job? But that first impression is so important, especially for what type of job role you're going into. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that is a very good reminder.
Just check yourself is all.
Just take a little peek. So with HR in specific, what do you see as a major trend or change that will change human resources in the next 5 years?
Oh gosh, telecommuting, right? Just what we're doing right now. Everything, and this has been happening slowly, and then 2020 happened. And then it really accelerated this process of the flexible working schedule, being able to zoom in, for lack of a better term, right? Just doing this is definitely something that's happening more and more, even in industries like mine, right? Even in the green industry, where you have the office professionals, they are able to work from home a lot of the times. So things that you don't think about, different professionals, telecommuting is the thing, and it's happening now. It's not just a trend. It's not going to happen in the future. It is now. It is happening, and it's here to stay. So for HR professionals, it's a little bit tricky because we're so used to that human touch, to face-to-face, talking to someone, being able to read the environment around that person, around that situation. So there's a lot of coaching and a lot of things that need to happen for us as HR professionals too. So we can kind of learn how to do these things through this method that we're utilizing right now.
And how do you get that coaching? What sources do you go to for somebody that's maybe looking to be a human resource professional in their career? Where do they go? What do they join? Where do they find this stuff? I know there's a really big website. I know there's SHRM. And touch base on both of those. So where personally do you go to build off of other businesses, build off of other HR professionals, all that kind of stuff?
Oh gosh, there's a ton, right? There are a ton of resources, and you named a great one. So SHRM, your local SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management, your local SHRM chapter is a great resource. National SHRM page is important too. There's other HR resources out there. HRCI is one, HCI is another. So, and then locally here, I'm going to plug them in. I think it's Alternative HRD. They offer HR support to small and medium-sized businesses. They are actually a great resource here locally. I follow them. I read the little newsletters they send in via email every week. And they have some really good things locally here. So absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of resources out there. I mean, even LinkedIn now has webinars and things that you can take to develop your career and do some coaching and learn some new things. So it's out there. I would definitely start with the local HR or SHRM chapter and kind of build off of that.
And to kind of get involved with the local SHRM chapter, do you just show up to a meeting? Do you reach out to somebody that's maybe listed on the website? Because I know they have a website. What's the best way for somebody to kind of go about that?
So I did both. I'm new to the area, as you alluded to earlier today. So because, as an HR professional, you kind of know where to look. But I looked up, Sioux Falls SHRM and Sioux Empire. Actually, SHRM is the one that's around here, SE SHRM. And then you go on there. It's super easy to find a contact person. Hit the email. I got a response within a couple of hours. It was great. And I'm part of that. I joined it here locally, and there's always activities going on, always mixers, different events, a lot of online things going on right now, obviously. But it's been great to get to know people and just be more involved. So definitely look them up and go on their website. Super quick response and turnaround time.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I do want to start getting a little bit more into the personal side of things because we're already halfway through here. We have speed round at the end, so we have to make sure we touch that speed round. It's a favorite for the YPN Hot Seat. How did you end up coming to Sioux Falls, where you're now at the Garden Center running HR as a very first person there? What brought you to Sioux Falls from where you previously were, and where were you previously?
Oh gosh. So let me condense this very long story.
Yes. Okay.
I've been in human resources for a while, but in swine production. So prior to being here, my husband and I were both we lived in Nebraska, and we worked at Sandy Pine Systems. I did human resources for them, and he is on the production side of things. Late last year, he joined Pipestone Management out of Pipestone, Minnesota, also in swine production. But his facilities that he oversees are all around this area. And so we just decided to relocate to Sioux Falls. It's a very central location for him. And then I just decided to try something new. I didn't want to be commuting to Pipestone for work if I were to join that same company and so this worked out. It was kind of serendipitous, really, how it all happened for me to work here. But it turned out great. I love it. I'm 10 minutes away from where I live. My son is in school. If something happens, I'm right here. So I'm just happy that worked out that way.
That's awesome. So did you have to entice them to start in HR, or were they actually looking for somebody to come in and take over that starting of HR for the company? Because you said previously they didn't have HR before you.
Right. So no, so Eric Helland, the owner here, he had been looking for an HR professional and utilized actually a third-party recruitment service, a headhunting agency, essentially, to find me. So, but it worked out great. I chatted with him on the phone for maybe an hour, and then since we're coming here to look for a house over the weekend, I came over, did an interview in person. But yeah, they had been looking for a while, specifically for someone bilingual in HR. So I happened to fit that bill, I guess. So it worked out great.
And you just mentioned you are bilingual. What languages do you speak?
So my first language is Portuguese. I was born in Brazil. I lived there until I was 12. And then when we relocated to the United States, obviously, English is my second language. I also know Spanish. That's the language that I use at home every day, actually, with my husband being from Ecuador. And at work, I have used Spanish on a daily basis for the last 7 years. And then I learned a little bit of Italian back in the day. I can read and write it pretty well. Haven't spoken it in a really long time, though, so nobody quiz me because I probably couldn't. But my grandmother is of Italian background, and that made her happy. So
Yeah, so that's cool. You know, kind of 4 different languages.
sort of, yeah, 3 1/4. Let's call it that.
What would you say is the hardest?
Well, it's a little bit of a cheat, right? Because Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian are all Romance languages, so they are all very similar, and even grammatically. Whereas English is very difficult, and I'm sure people have heard this before. It's such a mix of different root languages, right? So English has Germanic, has Latin languages. I mean, there's such a mix of everything. So that is the hardest. Reading English is very hard because one letter can change how a word is pronounced. So,
and we have 2 meanings for certain words, or 3 meanings for certain words, plus all the slang that goes on. It's definitely.
The regionality here is real. I mean, I've lived in a few different areas in a few different states, and the regionality and the slangs in each state are just
Makes it tough.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned you are from Brazil. Do you get to go back to Brazil ever? Do you often get to travel?
So I went, the last time I went was October of 2019. So right before all the craziness of COVID happened, I brought my son down to meet my grandmother. So, because he was born here in the US and he had not, he's only 4. So he was 3, just had turned 3 at the time. And I took him down to visit my grandmother and get to know that side of my family. So that was nice.
That's awesome. I bet that was super.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great because he's the youngest one on that side of the family. So he's the baby. He'll forever be the baby, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. That would be so meaningful to do. So outside of work, we talked about work plenty. Outside of work, what hobbies do you have with your family? Just you? What are you into? What do you like to do?
So I love to read mystery novels. Actually, nothing. I try. Yeah. I mean, I'll go all the way back to like Agatha Christie. I love mystery novels. But on the weekends, especially now where the weather is gonna get better here, we go camping. We have a trailer, like a travel trailer. And so my husband, my son, and I, the dogs and the cat, all 6 of us, go out to campgrounds. We're super excited this year because we're new to South Dakota. And so we'll be exploring pretty much all the little parks around here to get to know our way around. And my son, who will be 5 in August, he just loves it. He can't wait for us to get in the trailer and go. So
that's exciting. Out of everywhere you've traveled, camping wise, what is your favorite place that if you had to pick one to go back to, where would you go?
Oh, I always fall back to Lewis and Clark, the state park. It's great. So we've been to the Nebraska side quite often because that's where we were before. This year we have a few bookings already scheduled for the South Dakota side. I hear that is even prettier, so I can't wait for that. Yeah, but it's great. I mean, you have everything right there, and it's kind of close to a bigger city too, in case you run out of a last minute supply. But it's beautiful, right on the water. You can't go wrong with that.
That's awesome. Have you been out to the hills and camped out there?
No, I haven't, and that's what we're planning on doing on the longer weekends this year. So
good for you guys. I haven't done it personally. I hear it's beautiful. I like going out there and seeing all the stuff that is there. We'll kind of keep touching base on a few more things. What is your favorite YPN event and why?
Oh gosh, I've loved every single one I've participated in so far.
You've gone to quite a few.
I have, yeah. I love to get to know people. So morning buzz is fun. I love coffee. So going and grabbing coffee, and it's so casual. Everybody is like, it's before the day starts, so no one's stressed out yet. So it's great. The seat at the table is always fun. Understanding, kind of hearing about other business owners here in the area and professionals and their point of view and their secret to success is always fun. But my favorite one so far was when we just went to the table for six, I think it's called. And that's great. Six people just around the table, good food, chatting about whatever. Also a super, relaxed environment. I think that's been my favorite so far.
Yeah, those are called reservations for six.
There you go. Thank you.
They do fill up for anybody watching, and Lucinda can mention. I've been to one. You've been to maybe more than one, but they are fantastic. There's only spots for six people, so it is very intimate. You do get that good conversation. We have been kind of exploring some different restaurants with it. It has been really good, really interesting. What kind of food was it that we had last time? I don't even remember the restaurant.
It was Ethiopian food.
Ethiopian food. Okay,
yes,
so that was an experience. If you guys just want to get out of your little bubble and you just want to have a really good connection with 5 other people, I highly, highly recommend checking out those reservations for 6. And then the morning mingle. I think that's how we actually met.
Yes, exactly. It was yes, it was a clean bean.
So they do work. They are really fun. They're a little on the smaller side compared to the after hours mixers.
Right.
So again, a little bit more intimate, a lot easier to have that conversation because you're not breaking someone's little conversation that they're normally having. There's a few of us there that we're just sitting there hanging out, having a cup of coffee and waiting for somebody to come talk to us. So they're so much fun, and that's actually how we got to meet. So I highly recommend anybody who hasn't gone to either of those sign up for the reservation for 6 or going and attending the YPN coffee. What are 3 of the best words that describe you as a person?
Oh, gosh. I would say I'm outgoing, clearly.
I would agree with that.
Definitely curious. I'm always interested, I guess is a better word. Interested in finding out more things. And I'd say I'm a warm individual. So there you go.
That's an awesome 3. We will hit up the rapid fire here in a second.
Oh boy.
We have about 3 minutes before we're going to touch base on that. But me and you, we got into the random conversation at a reservation for 6, and it was about alcohol. I don't know. I think I was talking about tequila or something like that. And you started just rapid firing information. And you said you actually have a little bit of a history of liquor, and not in a bad way. I should.
Oh gosh! Please clarify. Thank you.
So, tell us the story of how do you know these different alcohols, and what if out of anything that somebody, if they're going to go to JJ's or Willikers and they're going to buy something Hy-Vee, what is the one thing that they should try? Not that they need to have, but that they should try.
Right. Oh gosh. So I mentioned I'm from Brazil. I think I touched my grandmother's Italian. The other side of my family is Portuguese. So that Mediterranean, European background is definitely part of how I was raised. My godparents are from Mexico. And so, I mean, culture and being exposed to different things kind of just happen naturally in my family just because of how I was raised. And so that comes with being exposed to alcoholic beverages of other nations. And so my father-in-law from Ecuador, he loves his whiskey. And so, just been really exposed to all those kinds of things. I love wine. Red wine is my drink of choice. I love South American wines. Specifically, the one I've been drinking the most would be a good Malbec. If you have not tried Argentinian wine, I definitely recommend it. It's from the Mendoza region of Argentina, and it's just fabulous. It's a mild, kind of middle of the road wine. If you're starting, it's not sweet, it's not super dry. It's a good starter one, and it goes with pretty much anything. Say that one more time.
You repeat the name of that one more time.
Oh, so the type of wine is Malbec, Malbec.
Okay.
So there's different, I guess, brands, but
so you're not naming a specific brand.
No, it's just the type of wine. And then I guess if you're gonna go for tequila, since you brought it up, I would recommend you try. Well, I guess a specific. Well, Don Julio, right? That's one that a lot of people are familiar with. That's a good one. It's not a inexpensive by any means, but try the reposado, the one that's the darker, not the clear one, but the one that's more of an amber color. That is meant to be a sipping tequila, not a shooter, not like, the lime and salt. And, it's really a sipping tequila to be had more like you would a liqueur. So I guess when you see in the movies a cigar and a tequila, that's the type of tequila they're having, right? The amber color tequila. So yeah, I don't know. Corey, you put me on the spot.
Yeah, I know. And, I love, randomly, once we went to Italy, I hated red wine. Once you go there, you have the real red wine. And that's what everybody has. So after that, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So Chianti Classico.
Yes, well, you can't go wrong with that, though.
I love it. It's so good. Yeah. So if anybody is out there trying a Malbec or a Chianti Classico, you have to get the Black Rooster on there. Otherwise, it's not legit. We learned that. So absolutely go to the store, pick up something like that if you're wanting to try something different that you don't normally have. If you don't like it, blame Lucinda.
There you go. Yep.
Great. Let's go ahead and jump to these rapid fire questions so we can get through that. We do have only about 4 minutes left. Are you ready to go?
Oh, I guess so. Let's go.
Okay. These are your name and as quick as you can. We'll go from there. Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, dog or cat?
Dog.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
A call or text?
Call.
Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
Ice cream or snow cone?
Oh, snow cone.
Okay, I'm right there with you. Music or podcast?
Music.
Apple or Android?
Android.
High tech or low tech?
Mid tech.
Okay. Work hard or play hard?
Both.
Okay. Hamburger or taco?
Ooh, both.
You keep cheating. You can't say both.
I'm sorry. I like food. I'm
right there with you. Online shopping or in store?
In store.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke all the way.
Okay. Iced or hot coffee?
Oh, hot coffee.
Save or spend?
Save.
TV or book?
Book.
City or countryside?
Countryside.
A winter or summer?
Summer.
Beer or wine?
Oh, wine. That's a hard one.
Show or movie?
A show.
Off the clock or morning mingle?
Morning mingle.
Okay, there we have it. These are the rapid fire questions. You talked through. I do have to ask about that first one. You said earlier, you said when you go camping, you do have a dog, you have cats, but your favorite is a dog.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a cat first because cats are easier and lower maintenance. We lived in an apartment for a really long time, and my cat's still alive. He's 11.
Okay.
So, and I also, shortly thereafter, we got a dog. We moved to a house and we were able to get a dog, and he's also 11.
Okay.
And we got another dog who is 2 and a few months. So we have 2 dogs and a cat.
Wow. Lizzie, so do you play favorites?
Never.
We wouldn't do that. We are running out of time. So real quick before we get going, what is the best way for anybody to connect with you? Maybe they have, hey, how do I get started in HR? Or they just want to meet you at a YPN event or anything that you can think of. What is the best way for them to connect with you?
Absolutely. Shoot me an email, lucinda@landscapegardencenters.com. It's a mouthful, but it's thankfully on the screen for you to look at.
Yep.
Absolutely. Send me a note and I'll be happy to connect.
Okay, awesome. Just for everybody that's watching, next week we do have Kristen Hofert-Redlinger, who is the chair of YPN. She is also the Chief Talent Officer and Executive Director of Community Relations for Northwestern Mutual. If you guys don't know Kristen, she does travel the country speaking to large groups and organizations, and she truly is a big-time leader in Sioux Falls. So this is absolutely one. I promise you're not going to want to miss this one. I will be hosting that one as well. We're going to be hitting a lot of different topics and things that you guys, I think, will find pretty darn interesting and hopefully get something very valuable out of it. So Lucinda, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I do hope to see you at some more YPN events. I know we just had the birthday bash last night. That was so much fun. Did you get a chance to attend that?
I did not.
Okay. There's so many more events coming up. Everybody check out the website if you want to kind of see what events are coming up. And I guarantee you will meet Lucinda at one of these. Go up to her, talk to her. She's so much fun, such a great personality. And I truly, truly, truly did enjoy getting to do this with you. It's such a pleasure, and I can't wait for the upcoming YPN events just to get to know each other even deeper.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was fun, Corey.
Absolutely. And everybody, thank you, Kayla, too, for behind the scenes. She's the one taking care of posting everything for you guys, so it's easy to access, easy to see all of that. Rewatch this, share it. We'll talk to you guys next week.